I'm Steve Patinsky. I teach Navi.
And, I teach Navi too.
In Frisch, in Paramus. This year we're learning Yo. I teach a mid to low level class. Slightly mid, slightly low. Not the lowest, but not the highest. I also am Director of Educational Technology. So I'm in a lot of other teachers' classrooms, helping team teaching stuff, although my first love is being in front of the room myself, although I do less of it than I'd like. A lot of what I'm going to say, how many of you were just at Avi Bloom? A bunch of you, most of you. So a lot of it's very similar, although I guess I'm going to try to go through the journey I went through in flipping, which kind of touches upon, and give a lot of examples from my own classroom and from some other classrooms also at Frisch, and from students of different types of flipping, as we call it. So hopefully that will add something to the conversation, hopefully. So this would be a typical, and I didn't expect you guys to all do this, but this would be a typical do now on the board, where I take a video, in this case, Cellcon, and we might watch a little bit of it. How many of you have seen the Cellcon video? No? Okay, then maybe we should watch some of it. Because really, his video, though I know that he just showed Ken Robinson, which is great stuff, his Cellcon's video in 2011, his TED Talk, and you're going to notice on the stage with him is Bill Gates. He kind of had some good backers, but when he started, he was just in his closet. He's going to tell the story. Was really what got all of us flipping out about flipping. And my initial reaction when I watched the video, I think it came out in about March 2011, was this is the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. You're taking the most boring thing, which is lecturing, and you're making it even more boring and less interactive by putting it up on video. Then I said, and if you read my blog, you'll see the whole odyssey of my back and forth. I think that's like my most read blog post because it mentions Khan Academy, so therefore I got to piggyback on Khan, so when people Google him, they come to me. That's great. That's good for me. Then I said, let me try it out. And I've tried it out in many, many different formats over time, and I think one of the things that this year was really a changeover was having the kids do much more of it, and also having many more teachers in Frisch do it, not just me. And I've found a lot of areas, although it's all anecdotal, and I'm very hopeful that Dr. Julie Snell will actually have real research, because none of us have it, that it's very helpful. Now, one other question, and I'm doing this old school method. Old school method works too, raise your hand. How many of you have created a flipped video yourselves? Okay? So actually most of you haven't. So some have, some haven't. So I will also share, I'm not going to share how to make a video, because that would be a whole different presentation, but I'm going to share with you a bunch of different platforms you can use to make a video, different ideas, and if you want, we can have a conversation later if you want to research one of them. Now, the most important point to realize, and then we're going to just start watching, and it's like a flip video, I'm going to flip it and show you, is, as Avi Bloom said so well, the video is not the most important piece at all. It's what you do with it. If all you're doing is putting your lectures on video, and you're lecturing and teaching exactly the way you always lectured and taught, and you're not harnessing that to do something more or different or special or unique, then flipping your class is a terrible idea. The only advantage you'll get, which actually probably is a good advantage, is if it's snowing outside, you can still be teaching, and that's wonderful. We have a whole panel. As we got more snow days and people started actually not liking them, even students, we started to send out like a list of flip videos. Like we had, I think, 5 or 6 videos kids could watch, ranging from 5 minutes of our Torah to 30-minute shear over the course of their snow day, so their snow day could be a Torah day. And we found out actually, I know real time is great, but the problem with real time on a snow day is that their kids might either be shoveling, or they might be playing, or they might just wake up really late. So the great thing about flip video is it doesn't matter when they interact, with it, and we got a lot of very positive feedback. But besides that, you have to really be doing something different. So let's start with Salcon, and since you guys haven't watched it, we're not going to watch, once again, this is 20 minutes long. And if that's the most watched TED Talk, this is probably the second to most watched one. Probably. Okay? So we're only going to watch some of it. So I'm going to watch probably to the 7-minute mark. And then what I want you to do, just to tell you right now, and you can all prepare yourselves, is everyone go to, you all have a device, I assume, even your phone. If you don't, then you can look along. I think the Wi-Fi is flipped and the password is classroom. If you want to use the Wi-Fi in the building, that's faster. Okay, you go to student.infusedlearning.com. Once you go there, all you should have to do is put in your name and the room ID, which is 47889. And once you do that, all you should get is something that looks basically like a text box for you to type. And after the video, hopefully my instructions are correct. I need some feedback if it's working. After the video, if you could reflect, I like this. This is from Dr. Foreman from my Israeli days. PMI, basically. Something you agree with, disagree with, or find interesting about the presentation in the space provided. It's just free-form answers. You'll see why we're doing it this way a little bit later. Are my instructions correct? Can you get in?
I got it.
And
There's
you
a box,
get like a text box, like
text
a box.
response.
Good,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. I just need to make sure. Let's go.
Motion with the lights. Thanks.
Khan Academy is most known for its collection of videos, so before I go any farther, let me show you a little bit about a montage.
So the hypothesis is now going to be 5. This animal's fossils are only found in this area of South America, a nice clean band here, and in this part of Africa. We could integrate over the surface, and the notation usually is a capital sigma, National Assembly. They create the Committee of Public Safety, which sounds like a very nice committee. Notice, this is an aldehyde, and it's an alcohol. Start differentiating into effector and memory cells. A galaxy. Hey, there's another galaxy. Oh look, there's another galaxy. And for dollars, is there 30 million plus the $20 million from the American manufacturer? If this does not blow your mind, then you have no emotion.
We now have on the order of 2,200 videos covering everything from basic arithmetic all the way to vector calculus and some of the stuff that you saw there. We have a million students a month using the site, watching on the order of 100 to 200,000 videos a day. But what we're going to talk about in this is how we're going to the next level. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about really just how I got started. And some of y'all might know, about 5 years ago, I was an analyst at a hedge fund. And I was in Boston, and I was tutoring my cousins in New Orleans remotely. And I started putting the first YouTube videos up, really just as kind of a nice to have, just kind of a supplement for my cousins, something that might, give them a refresher or something. And as soon as I put those first YouTube videos up, something interesting happened. Actually, a bunch of interesting things happened. The first was the feedback from my cousins. They told me that they preferred me on YouTube than in person. And once you get over the backhanded nature of that, there was actually something very profound there. They were saying that they preferred the automated version of their cousin to their cousin. At first it's very unintuitive, but when you actually think about it from their point of view, it makes a ton of sense. You have this situation where now they can pause and repeat their cousin. Now they can, without feeling like they're wasting my time, they could, if they have to review something that they should have learned a couple of weeks ago or maybe a couple of years ago, they don't have to be embarrassed and ask their cousin. They can just watch those videos. If they're bored, they can go ahead. They can watch it at their own time, at their own pace. And probably the least appreciated, aspect of this is the notion that the very first time that you're trying to get your brain around a new concept, the very last thing you need is another human being saying, do you understand this? And that's what was happening with the interaction with my cousins before, and now they can just do it kind of in the intimacy of their own room. The other thing that happened is, I put them on YouTube just for the, I saw no reason to make it private, so I let other people watch it, and then people started stumbling on it, and I started getting some comments and some letters and all sorts of kind of feedback from random people around the world, and these are just a few. This is actually from one of the original calculus videos, and someone wrote just on YouTube, it was a YouTube comment. First time I smiled doing a derivative. And let's pause here. This person did a derivative, and then they smiled. And then in response to that same comment, this is on the thread, you can go on YouTube and look at these comments, someone else wrote, same thing here. I actually got a natural high and a good mood for the entire day. Since I remember seeing all of this matrix text in class, and here I'm all like, I know Kung Fu. And we got a lot of feedback along those lines, this clearly was helping people. But then as the viewership kept growing and kept growing, I started getting letters from people, and it was starting to become clear that it was actually more than just a nice to have. This is just an excerpt from one of those letters. My 12-year-old son has autism and has had a terrible time with math. We have tried everything, viewed everything, bought everything. We stumbled on your video on decimals, and it got through. Then we went on to the dreaded fractions. Again, he got it. We could not believe it. He is so excited. And so you can imagine, here I was, an analyst at a hedge fund. It was very strange for me to do something of social value. But I was excited, so I kept going. And then other things started to dawn on me. That not only would it help my cousins right now, or these people who are sending letters, but it could maybe, that this content will never go old, that it could help their kids or their grandkids. If Isaac Newton had done YouTube videos on calculus, I wouldn't have to. Assuming he was good. I mean, the other thing that happened, even at this point, I said, okay, maybe it's a good supplement, it's good for motivated students, it's good for maybe homeschoolers, but I didn't think it would be something that would somehow penetrate the classroom. But then I started getting letters from teachers. And the teachers would write saying, we've used your videos to flip the classroom. You've given the lectures. So now what we do, and this could actually happen in every classroom in America tomorrow, what I do is I assign the lectures for homework, and what used to be homework, I now have the students doing in the classroom. And I want to pause here for a second, because there's a couple of interesting things. One, when those teachers are doing that, there's the obvious benefit. There's the benefit that now their students can enjoy the videos in the way that my cousins did. They can pause, repeat at their own pace, at their own time. But the more interesting thing, this is the unintuitive thing when you talk about technology in the classroom. By removing the one-size-fits-all lecture from the classroom and letting students have a self-paced lecture at home, and then when you go to the classroom, letting them do work, having the teacher walk around, having the peers actually be able to interact with each other. These teachers have used technology to humanize the classroom. They took a fundamentally dehumanizing experience, a bunch of 30 kids with their fingers on their lips, not allowed to interact with each other. A teacher, no matter how good, has to give this kind of one-size-fits-all lecture to 30 students, blank faces, slightly antagonistic, and now it's a human experience. Now they're actually interacting with each other.
Okay. You can watch the rest of it. I made a tiny URL, tinyurl.com/flipconflip, or you could just watch it yourselves, on YouTube. If you look for Con, you'll get it. That's Bill Gates. He actually funds Khan Academy, and there's a lot of stuff up there now. What I'd like to do for a moment, unless some of you are already doing it, if you could write some reflections up here using infused learning, and then we'll start to have a conversation. I'll start to go on my path and my journey into flipping. based on, that was really my inspiration right there.
I actually wrote and I submitted it, so.
Good.
Oh,
That's fine. If you wrote and you submit it, it should just say waiting, and that's a good sign.
Students, this was the adapter.
Student.infusedlearning.com. I don't know if you www might mess you up. Student.infusedlearning.com, and all it should ask you for is the first name and a room ID, which you should, and then once you get in, it should just be right there. Wow.
Moved here because it was cold.
I think they have long sleeves. I could open them up, I should unroll. Okay. I'll give one more moment. Please submit when you're done. Just, I want to show a few. Do people mind if I show what you wrote? Okay. I'm going to assume not. People can still answer. Okay. I have some people already answered, and I have someone else already answered. It goes like that kind of. This is a great app, by the way, infusedlearning.com. Write it down. If you go to teacher.infusedlearning.com, you can create an account. If you go to student.infusedlearning.com, that's what the students use. It's one of those real-time assessment apps. The best thing about it, as far as compared to, let's say, Google Docs, which I'm going to show later, or Socrative, which is another really nice one, is Infused Learning is completely platform agnostic. What does that mean? You can use it on anything. You can use it on your iPad, on your phone, on your computer. It doesn't matter at all. And it requires no login for the students. So the point of entry, once you make the student set up a username and password or anything, unless like it's a learning management system they use the whole year, once you're doing it in one class, you lost 10 minutes of class time. It's just ridiculous. And there are some kids who just never get it. That little, the tiniest thing. If I made you all create a username and password right now on this, I'd be, it's just really inefficient. Here, put in your name and your room ID. I've never had a kid who couldn't do that. They could put a fake name if they want, so this is called formative assessment, not summative assessment. It's not their big SAT or final at the end of the year, so I don't really, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay? Details. Excellent. Now there is a way I can, by the way, and this I recommend if you ever do this with students, hide the names so kids aren't embarrassed. Although the kids will always volunteer when they're the one. Even though they say, I don't want to see it, I don't want to see it. So you hide the name, and then, but here I don't know I don't know your names, and I'd like to learn. So I'd like to show the names. Okay. Okay, so individual, what did you think about it? So, wait, I just did the names again.
Okay, so that's me, Bava Cohen. Pause, repeat at your own pace. I think that for me, this is the most important part of flipping the classroom, because I explain my material and then I get these blank stares, and I know some of them got it, some of them didn't, some of them are somewhere in between. So for me, this is the most important part.
I agree. It's very, very powerful. I know that in Navi, I think Gemara is similar. I use it a lot for textual reading. Reading and translating. One of the things you're going to see about the videos, and there was a whole conversation I looked at about it, and the people who were on the other side, I think they just didn't get it. they look at these videos and they say they're not fancy, they're not exciting, they don't use charts, they don't use whatever. They're supposed to be dirty and just the teacher speaking. Obviously, you want to show them a visual and maybe write up the page, but the point is they want to hear you, they want to see the text, they want to hopefully connect the word to the text, and then they can stop, they can start, they can do that. Also, what kids love about this is once you start creating a bunch, then you have a formal exam, and I'm into project-based learning, alternative assessment, but I'm also into regular formal assessment too. I kind of believe that all methods have their place. You give them a playlist from YouTube of the videos on that test. Obviously, if that's all you're testing, then what have you been doing? You've been doing a lot deeper than the videos, but the videos, so they can get at least the summary of the basics in 45 minutes by watching 5 videos on this playlist. They love that. They will watch them over and over again, some kids.
So just a question, just technical question maybe, I don't know. So I do teach Navi, Pshat based. Mm-hmm. So they really have to understand the text, and then a lot of times they have a lot of new words. So when I create a video, I can always can have the new words on the style, explanation.
You can do it any way you want. I'll talk about that a little bit when I show mine. We'll just look at one more longer kind. Well, I agree with the idea that watching a video of the lecture at home frees up time for more interactive work you can contribute to. I think he makes a huge, absolutely he does make a huge generalization. That's when Alyssa? Yeah, that's when my original blog post banged him up because he had the straw man where either you're flipping the lesson and completely creating cooperative learning in the classroom, and the one size fits all video, so one size fits all lecture. That was his straw man. Obviously, it's not true. Hopefully, maybe it's true in those college lecture halls with 400 students, and maybe that's what Dr. Julie Snell will speak to later on in the day, but clearly, hopefully not true in our classrooms. When I'm teaching frontally, there's still a lot of interaction going on. It's not me lecturing. I'm hopefully never, ever lecturing. I would die of boredom myself. But the flip side, is that he does make a point about learning at your own pace and about humanizing on some level. I think, I would think. Some of you disagree. Now, by the way, this type of activity, what we just did here, this isn't flipping, but every time I do a flip video, I always have the kids do something with the video. That was one of the big questions. If you give it for homework, how do you know they did it? So therefore, you have to kind of force them to do it. I tend to have, when I do it for homework, a pretty set routine. I use Google Forms, but you could use any of the quizzing apps. If you have a learning management system in your school, like Schoology or Edmodo or Haiku Learning or any of the quizzing apps will work, or Google Forms if you don't. And usually I have 3 multiple choice questions, and 1 where they have a free answer. I do the multiple choice because it's easier to grade, but I do the free answer so they're not just texting each other the answers A, B, and D. They have to actually represent. I actually learn a lot about learning from how the kids who clapped it just from the video, especially on the 4th question, and the kids who completely didn't. And maybe that's not their learning style at all, and that's okay too. In class, when I do it, I might do something like this. And one of the things I really like about this is that every single kid participates, whereas here I can't have all of you calling out, even the best teachers. I'm not calling on every student, and definitely not calling on them all the time. And there's some students, I know I had the privilege of being a Brooklyn team chair for a year when I was in Gross. When he called on me, I completely froze up, and I sounded like a moron. It didn't work for me. Some students it does, some students it doesn't. That's why I'm very sensitive to those kids, because I want that kid. I took beautiful notes. Everyone, someone introduced me, am I allowed to say this on a video? A certain someone whose father's father might be the name on this building, introduced me to his father at graduation from Revel as the reason he was able to get his master's degree. Because I was the one who wrote all the notes for everybody. So I knew what was going on, but I didn't think so quickly, and I certainly didn't verbally. I wasn't able to do it. And we reward the kids who are quick, and we reward the kids who are very good at their verbal communications. And so I like that when you do something like this, that obviously there's some kids who can't write well too. This isn't the only method either, but you're getting a different type of.
I have a question about how you use this. Do you use it as a do now, so your kids come into the room, the do now is up, they watch the video, the dance is up. Then what? How much time of your 45-minute lesson, an hour lesson?
I used to give these for homework.
These are all
Okay, and then I found sometimes it works, but I found it better in the classroom. But realize when I'm doing a video, it's on a half a parak at a time, and it could take me 3 days to learn the half a parak, even with all the different things. So therefore, if 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the first class is watching to get the big picture, and then when we learn the parak, it's a different learning. It's time very, very well spent.
But my question
it's not
is,
every
like,
period
is
at all.
this for
That would be crazy. Then
This is for you, or this is for the kids?
what?
These are responses for you to know as a formative
I
assessment,
know,
or
but
these
a
are
lot of
something
times
you-
I'll have a classroom discussion
Okay.
about the parak right from this. I might not ask this question. I might ask a different question. It leads into everything. Now let me just describe my personal odyssey. So I watched. This is just a series of links that I put on Bitly. I watched the video. I blogged about it. I'm not going to put my blogs up. You can go look up them from a couple of years ago, and you'll see that I totally disagreed with everything he said. And then I tried it out. And so the first, I'm just going to give you a lot of different, I guess, formats, because that really helps. And I'm going to talk about how I did it. And so the first format that I did is I would post a Google form. Okay, so you have to know I use Google Forms, which is really easy to use, with a link to the video embedded in the form. And actually the video usually...
Ezra Parrott, Dallas Hudson, Zion, starts the...
This one,
the
actually,
that was
now, I cheated here, and I only cheat on these videos. The only videos where I ever have English up are when I'm doing the Prakim and Ezra that are in Aramaic. Because I figure, we have a hard enough time teaching them the Hebrew. I'm not interested. All the other ones you'll just see Hebrew text, but this is all Aramaic. So it's really hard.
by the Tzarei Yehuda,
And I would write on it.
specifically to the kick that describes Kashvu Igra Chada
I would underline. Now, at this point, the tool I was using, which you can all use, it doesn't work on an iPad. We'll get to iPad later. But it works on any computer. It doesn't work on a Chromebook. And I had a question before. I don't have, someone could tell me one, a good, easy flipping solution for the Chromebook. Because on the screencast, the only one I can think of is doing a Google Hangout where you only invite yourself and you do a screen share, which works, but it's like it's not something that if you're not a real techie, you won't think like that. Because these tools, which are great, Screencast-O-Matic is one. It's free. The only thing they give you is a watermark on the bottom of the page. Oh my goodness!
Screen what?
It says Screencast-O-Matic, and if you can't remember it, just Google Screencast-O-Matic. If you can't remember, the dash and the dash and the dash, and it will come up. You have to do something called enable Java, which just basically something will pop up. And hopefully you'll just be able to click, unless your computer's not updated, that's the one to do anything. If it isn't, then, but Screencast-O-Matic, and it's a great way if you have just a laptop and you want a free tool to make videos. There's another one that's equally good, except it doesn't have a watermark, but it only allows you to have 5-minute videos or shorter. It's called ScreenR. That is spelled, so this is Screencast-O-Matic. That's spelled Screen R. Just Google them, each one you'll get to. These are free. This one allows 15 minutes, but it has a watermark. This one allows 5 minutes, but has no watermark. They both should work on any laptop, as long as you have your Java updated, which sometimes is not the case. But you can buy some really advanced tools. They're expensive, like Camtasia. I have one Camtasia. So my latest in JetCamp. There's my plug for JetCamp. So my latest videos, I started using Camtasia, but it's an expensive program. It's a couple $100, I believe. These are basically almost just as good. Okay, yes.
Because I use Screencast-O-Matic, and actually he's walking over now. I wonder if you found the solution to not having this random YouTube videos that you never know what you're going to get.
Oh, on the side?
Yeah.
I think, well,
I still
okay.
I
The
just
solution is,
found one.
what? ViewPure. Is
There's
it
cleaner.
cleaner or ViewPure?
What is it? CLE.
Isn't there a ViewPure or something?
I'll tell you in a
Google
second. Somebody just sent it to
ViewPure,
me.
or you have cleaner, you have Google ViewPure, I think?
It's called.
Just realize something with Screencast-O-Matic, for example. So there's an option to put it directly on YouTube. I never use that option. Oh, 5 minutes, okay. So I'm going to only have a little piece of my thing. I never use that option because when I do, often it fails the mill. You can there's an option to download the video, then upload it. Then you can upload it somewhere else. Okay. So I'm going to just run because I have only 5 minutes. So this was the format of, and now, this was the format that I did very often with the Google Docs that I described. At that point, I was really only giving it for homework. And then, to go further, where is my... I'm going to go back.
Is this possible to be done in Hebrew?
What?
Hebrew.
What do you mean?
It supports it.
To write it all in Hebrew, not in English.
Yeah.
To write Google Docs, Google is totally Hebrew. That's actually a good point. Socrates, I think, works with Hebrew, but Nearpod doesn't. But that's a totally different app. But Google Forms certainly does. Then, why is that Vodalisa there? It's not supposed to be. Oh, that's my channel. That's right. Then, just to show you from there, and here's my YouTube channel I had for a couple of years, and just Dash Patinsky. And you'll see that there's a lot of videos, each one, just from looking at the format, is the same type of thing. Most of them are Screencast-O-Matics. Most of them you'll see the writing up, and I like the dirty. I think two things that made Khan so successful was A, his videos are very dirty. He writes all over them, which is like the way I want my board to be. You know, there's something up there, but I think that learning is messy, and the videos are too. Secondly, he doesn't have his face. I've kind of now started experimenting with my face. I think when you're teaching your own class, it helps, maybe, I'm still not sure, because of teacher presence. Certainly if you're making the videos for other people to watch, the face is a distraction. You want to focus on the text, on what you're talking about. So that was the odyssey I went through for probably about 2 years. Then